Hey, everybody, it's Everett with Ohio for Freedom. Very, very excited in just a moment to bring on my very, very special guest and my dear brother, Pastor Ray Curry. There is kind of a momentum to what we're doing. I'll have a few things to say at the end of the program, but his time is valuable and all of us are kind of tight on time. So I'm very honored to have him. And so without further ado, I want to bring in my dear brother, Pastor Ray. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here.
Well, we are always glad to have you. Appreciate it very much. And you kicked up just a little bit of dust when you noticed some things that are happening at Solid Rock, although I think the official name change kicked in about a few days ago, Crumbling Rock Church.
Crumbling Rock.
And, yeah, Crumbling Rock Church. And Pastor Ray, I just want to, our time together was already scheduled, and additional information, like it always does, keeps coming in. And actually the title, which will kind of influence, I believe, the theme of our discussion, has come very, very recently. But I just want to get something out of the way. We don't blow up each other's phones, but we talk on a somewhat regular basis. Now, you know that me being a certified bona fide hillbilly Delta redneck from Delta, Tennessee, Western Tennessee, with roots from my mom in the Mississippi Delta. But I can't remember you ever bringing up the subject of picking cotton, which is our heritage, and black-eyed peas and cornbread and coon dogs. I don't think that's ever happened, right?
Oh no, that's a little different from what I'll be sitting around talking about. Yeah, man.
Okay. And I don't think that you, with your experience in the African American community, you can tell the audience straight. I don't think I've brought up watermelon and chicken and I don't think so, have I? That's not really what we talk about, is it?
Oh no, we wouldn't sit down talking about watermelon and chicken and chucking and jiving. We wouldn't do that.
Okay, just want to be clear. Just want to be clear. And just to double down, we've both, you know them, Jonathan and Susie with her Indian heritage, and I've met her wonderful parents. I don't think I ever brought up curry or anything. Did you ever bring up curry with Susie or her parents or anything like that?
Let me tell you something right now. If I ever sat down with them and started talking about curry and Indian food, then it would have got tight. It would have got tight. I don't think I ever sat down with them and said nothing like that.
Okay. Well, then I just want to play the clip for time economy. I've blended two of them together. And I'm just going to play them because somehow you got on Lawrence Bishop Jr.'s radar, and he was in the pulpit at a church on Sunday, and he had this to say.
But there's one funny thing I have to address. Of all the lies that have been said, there is one that I have to talk about. I don't know the man. Somebody screenshotted a picture of him. A black guy from Georgia or North Carolina or something said I was gay. 3 times, I guess, he said I was gay. See, he had to break up some fallow things in me. He had to break up some hard ground. There were things that I would have held on to the grave if it would not have been for the crushing and making me again. There were pockets of racism in me that I would have denied. I would have told you were crazy if you had called me racist.
Brother, I'll just give it to you. You have any reaction to this kind of talk?
Well, so far I am very shocked. Who am I? I'm nobody. From as he said, I'm from Georgia or North Carolina or somewhere, wherever I'm from. I'm nobody, and somehow, some way, these people hear what I got to say. That always tripped me out. That's the first thing that's always hilarious to me, because I don't run in your circles. Y'all are not important to me. but I care about them people. I care about them people. And so I speak up for God's people. And the second thing that really gets me about this is, I ain't call that man gay.
Exactly.
What I said in my video is, I had to find out if it was. Because when you do little catty stuff and you can't confront people and you can't sit down and reason together with people that's supposed to be under you. I'll see if it was some guy from Georgia or North Carolina or somewhere, but these are people that are under you that you can't, a woman that you can't sit down with and have a legitimate and decent conversation with. So before I went and researched this guy, and well, I didn't really even research him, but before I even, went to see him or whatever the case may be, I was like, this guy, is he gay? Is he gay? Because it was gayish. It's gayish when you cannot sit down with a lady and you walking around catty and holding grudges in your heart, walking around your church. And no, mama, I'm not going to talk to her. I'm not speaking to her. I was like, he got to be gay. But I went and looked it up, and I said, from what I see, the man is not gay, but he is a punk. I did call him a punk.
Yeah. And I wanted to just point out, it's this like a black guy from Georgia or North Carolina, but what if it had been a white guy from Georgia or North Carolina? Would he have said some white guy in Georgia or North Carolina? I mean, I know we all got a thick skin, but I mean, that's pretty dense, isn't it?
Now, I like when other people bring it up, because now let's just go there. When we bring it up, we're snowflakes. When we bring it up, we're race baiting. That's what it always is when we bring it up. So I wait till other people talk about it. But it is something where you can't just describe me as, there was some dude in Georgia or North Carolina somewhere. No, a black guy from Georgia or North Carolina somewhere. Somehow, some way, I got under your skin and you wanted to be real specific about that black guy. But that's okay. One thing about me, I'm going to stand up and tell you as that black guy that whether I was black, whether I was white, the truth still goes stand. It's right. You as a man should have taken the time to sit down with one of the church members and have a legitimate conversation. That's all it is to it. Whether you agreed, whether you disagreed, whatever the case is, you should have sat down and had a conversation, whatever I am.
That is the real issue. And then I'm going to go here. It's like, okay, so just a complicating factor is Lawrence Bishop Jr. has a sister, Julie, that is hopefully happily, but married to an African-American husband. So I'm just wondering, like, when Lawrence, if they ever have family get-togethers, I don't know, maybe they all fuss and fight, but does he say, oh, hey, sis, come on over and bring your husband, the black? I mean, just the tone deafness of it. Do you ever run into that, or do you have any advice for Lawrence, or just, whoa?
Well, my advice is learn some courtesy. Learn some courtesy in your life. There are some people, I'm gonna just say it. There are some people who will take disrespect and they will marry into disrespect. There are some people who can go for that, and they will go out of their way to try to prove they're not like them other blacks. I don't know the dude, but there are some guys and some gals that marry into families and want to prove, oh, we're not like them other blacks over there. And sometimes those are the only black people they are around. But you got to get around people other than yourself. You got to get around people who don't think like you. You got to get around people who might have different views and opinions of yourself, but yet they are a decent person. They're a good person. They love the same God that you say you love. They love the same Jesus that you say you love. So if you get around some people other than the people that you can control and the people you already know, then maybe you can learn some courtesy. That's all I can say to people like him and to him.
And then at the end there, I want to get off of talking about that clip in just a second, but at the end he said, God did some stuff in me and removed some racism. Otherwise I would have, it kind of looks like he still needs a little bit of help with that, don't it? Or is that
I heard that and I wasn't sure where you was going to start back up the video or whatever the case may be. But when I heard that, it's like, bruh, what nerve did I strike? What nerve did I strike? What is it in you and your lineage and your family where some black guy can't tell you nothing? And you glad that the Lord must have done some work in your life or worked on some part of your heart or some fallow ground dealing with racism. What does my race have to do with the truth? The truth is, you as a man did not sit down with a woman in your congregation and you walked around catty. You were a catty man. That's all it is to it. That don't have nothing to do with my race. That's a root in you, man. That ain't nothing I brought. I ain't bring race into this. And I ain't call you gay. I call you a punk. That's what I call you, a punk.
Yeah, that's what happened. And you said the word lineage. You might have opened up a door there. So I wanted to be able to talk about spiritual abuse, and that'll definitely happen, I believe, as we go along. But when I heard that comment, it just sparked something in me, Pastor Ray, just a remembrance. I'm going to play a clip from our dear friend and sister, Susan Puzio. She had posted a video, and this whole idea, and I think I see something. I don't completely understand it, but I'd like to try to unravel it together, because we're calling this episode Pentecostal Pandering to the Black Church. And you kind of talked about it on the very first episode of yours I ever saw. It was the one where you talked about Rod Parsley and Tony Evans. But let me just play this clip, and I think it'll make sense. I think it's about a minute, and here we go.
Some of you are going to stay in poverty the rest of your life. See, God said that he loved cheerful. That's the reason I told some of you to get your offering ready, because we ain't going to wait on nobody. Because I don't want, if you're giving grudgingly or thinking because somebody's seen you, keep your offering. We don't want it. Because there's something, wait just a minute, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me show you something. The Lord spoke to me because there was a young black man in my church that didn't have a car. He lost his job because his job furnished his car. He lost his car. He'd been helping me with prayer meeting. And I was praying one time at the prayer meeting, and he come in late, and he said, Sister Darlene, I had to borrow a car. I'm sorry I'm late. The Lord said, give him your car. The only thing that I said, Juanita, I just said this. I said, now God, because I had a Mercedes, one of those big ones. You know.
And Pastor Ray, you'll be glad to know that after she gave her car to the young black man, she got a brand new one. I got lots to say, but it's not about what I have to say, and that was a lot. Do you have any reaction?
A lot of people don't know this about Fox, the whole corporate entity. When Fox Entertainment was coming up and they hit a snag, one of the things that Fox did was invest in a lot of black entertainment. That you had Jerry Springer that came on Fox. I think In Living Color. I think Martin. It was a lot of different shows. I don't know them all. I can't recollect them all, but it was a lot of different shows that that Fox used to garner its money and to get funding and to build up to a certain point. And then after Fox Entertainment got to a certain amount of power, they were able to do movies. They were able to, which, they were always there, but they got to a point where you see now that one of the biggest parts of Fox is Fox News. All right. And I'm not trying to make this political. I'm talking about business. This same model has happened in the churches. This same model has happened in the churches. We put on a religious, once again, I'm not trying to hurt people, but I'm being honest about some of these people's motives. Not all. Some of our brothers and sisters have a pure heart towards one another. But there are some who put on a religious blackface. They did what they had to do in order to bring a certain level of black entertainment. Same thing what Fox did. There's a certain level of black entertainment. We're going to do the black cadence. We're going to do the black voice. We're going to do the black dancing music. We call it shouting, that do 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 do. I mean, we go get off. And these people, they're going to do this and do the black entertainment until they get a certain amount of power, until they get a certain amount of prestige, and then we end up with Fox News. Eventually, what's down in them comes out of them, and everything they already believed about you is going to go ahead and come up, because even in the seeds of this, what is she talking about? Getting out of poverty. You're losing your jobs. You need a car. I helped you come up. So you have even the thought is already there. The seeds are already there. The same thing happened with Rob Parsley. When he got up and all of a sudden people were like, wait a minute, Rob Parsley saying this about black people? Yes, because it was already there. There was a certain, like Fox, there was a certain amount of black entertainment that takes you to the top until you can go ahead and switch over to Fox News and show what's really down in you and what your values really are. That's what it is. I love multicultural churches. I love when the church looks like heaven. Every nation, every creed, every tongue. But oftentimes, when you look at the culture of the multicultural church, when you look at the main culture of the multicultural church, you might, in a lot of times, in a lot of cases, find yourself on a plantation.
Brother, Prophet Ray, I agree. And we're going to go down this trail a little bit. So I'm going to keep, it's going to look like a rabbit trail, but it'll come back, but we'll get there. But can I just point something out? How do I do this? Now I am criticized sometimes or otherwise fondly known for, can we just watch this little hoedown thing that Darlene does and tell me, and I'm going to ask you to tell me the person in ministry this reminds you of besides Darlene. Might take a second. Or watch this little dance.
Just believe it, and you'll have what you say.
That's what I'm looking for.
Wow.
That's it.
Wow.
Who is that, brother?
Wow, you talking about this here? Man, hey, you got to help me out with this one. Some things you watch it and you like.
Oh, yeah.
Help me out.
Okay, so here's what let me just say a few things. I guess we'll go for, first of all, I am legitimate hillbilly redneck Delta, okay? I was a rock and roller when I got saved. Well, they didn't play rock and roll in church, but I had enough in my childhood, twang-a-ding-a-dang-dong with a clean Strat trying to sound like a telly. I could blend in. That's kind of my roots.
Right.
I mean, Darlene Bishop's roots. Her husband was from Eastern Kentucky, and Hamilton, Ohio is called Hamiltucky. But she's doing the, okay, let's do it this way. I'll tell you who she reminded me of. I'll tell you who she reminded me of. Now, this clip, it might take us a little while to get there, but I'm just going to go here right now because we're talking about pandering to the black church. Okay, let's go.
Here she comes. Here she comes. Here comes my daughter. Here comes my daughter right here. Right here. Right here. You better get down here and help her. You better get down here.
You're going to buy the mechanic here.
You shall have this supernatural experience. You are called a prophetess to the nation. You are birthed out for this purpose. There is no other destiny for you but to cry loud and spare not. And I shall put an angels encamped round about you, and nothing shall harm you until you have fulfilled your destiny. And I charge you today with that power.
Get her up.
And I pick you up from one place in your life, and I set you down in your destiny.
Lock it down. That's what I thought of.
Yeah, I mentioned Rob Parsley earlier, but I tell you that the pandering, and there's a lot. It's a lot of things to unpack here. First of all, a lot of things that we feel. Some people will feel like, oh man, there was something there. No, there's no anointing there. What you're feeling is called nostalgia. A lot of times we have a longing for the old things and that old sound and that old feeling. That ain't anointing. That ain't oil. That's nostalgia. And who's the little girl? Was that Rod's daughter?
That's Rod's daughter. That was when Juanita Bynum prophesied that she's going to be the prophetess of the nation and the world. And unfortunately, she turned out to be one of the most promiscuous. And you know what? When she grew up, Pastor Ray, when she had an affair, a number of them in the church, well, she never got married, but she liked the married men, but she liked the African-American men. It's just a fact, but it's a disaster there. Let me shut up and let you talk.
Brother, I mean, that happened a lot on the plantation too. Anyway, the bottom line, man, is once again, we see the results of these things. When it's not done in a genuine heart, when it's not done in a genuine spirit, you see the natural result of falsehood and the pandering. Once again, these churches have gone from Entertainment Fox to Fox News. That's all that has happened. These things were down in their spirit, and they have had this in their soul waiting for years, but they needed a certain amount of money. They needed a certain amount of following. They need a certain amount of backing. And, well, Juanita Bynum was here. So that gives me passage into all of these other churches. And everyone's wishing to cross over, but it has to be done organically. And it has to be a God move. It can't be a marketing strategy, because that's exactly what that was. That was a business marketing strategy, plain and simple.
We're going to stay on this trail for a little bit. I got a call today. Now it might look like we're meandering, but we're coming back. So, and you were a licensed realtor, so you know something about real estate.
Mm-hmm.
Now we don't all have time to follow everything that all of us do. I try to stay, and man, that program last night was just a barn burner, brother. Don't let it go to your head. But pardon me. So the bishops started out in the Blue Church in Middletown, Ohio. then they raised the money to buy, and I saw in your thumbnail, you've seen the big Jesus statue and all of that. That's where they became Solid Rock. Now here's a little story. They bought 50 acres and in 96, and then in 98, nobody knew about it. They sold 5 of those acres to the Sun. Then a few years later, they sold 26.25 acres to, drumroll please, themselves. And then I don't want to do all the talking but I'm trying to, I'm going to finish this. I got a call today, Pastor Ray, from a 74-year-old lady that lives 14 miles from you, young man. So you might need to say hi to her sometime. Her and her husband were probably the biggest tithers in the church and special pledge offering givers to Solid Rock Church.
Wow.
And her husband was one of the people that signed some kind of a promissory note, co-signed or whatever, for them to get into those original 50 acres. And it wasn't until a couple of nights ago that she learned that the land that they tithed for, gave special pledges for, that her husband co-signed for, she had no idea they'd sold it to themselves.
My brother, I know exactly what you're talking about. When in Charlotte, North Carolina, I helped the ministry that I grew up in to acquire property. And when we did that business, that real estate transaction, we had to have different individuals in the church to help sign for that, to give some backing to that document. And it's amazing what people sign on to because they believe. You take advantage of people's faith, their trust in you. They believe that you're doing ministry for the work of God, and they don't have it in their heads that you're actually doing this to enrich yourself. And so here it is, top tithers, givers, people who help sign for the property. And then they find out just the other night through these efforts, like dear brother Everett here, his efforts in speaking up and being honest. That's why we tell you, be courageous, tell the truth. People need the truth because people don't know that these things are going on. And here it is, these givers find out through the live stream, wow, I gave to this church and they sold the land. And they didn't do it to help God's people. They did it to make themselves rich. Saints of God, as I have a ministry, I'm a pastor. And as much as I would love for God's people to help me and sign on to things and prop me up, at the same time, there need to be full disclosure. There needs to be some prerequisites. It need to be some things written into the contract. You know, the church is not allowed to sell property except so-and-so and so-and-so sign. These things can be written. These things can be put into the real estate documents so that these certain individuals are not able to take God's property and give it to themselves. Things could have been done for housing, you know, people, the homeless, anything that could have helped to build for the community, I understand. But when people have enriched themselves, they're just crooks. They're just crooks. That's what they are.
Well, brother, this story gets worse. I like the way you comment on it. This sister, she's doing okay, largely because she has a very successful daughter, and she has, well, no, I'll just say she's on Social Security plus a close relationship with her daughter. She's doing okay because her husband died an untimely death. And the business, the extremely prosperous business they had, didn't really survive that. And Pastor Ray, she was 30 when she began to know the bishops. And at age 74, is it anywhere in the Bible that maybe you help widows? Maybe I was staying up too late one night and got, but when I said, how do you feel finding out on Ohio for Freedom 2 nights ago that the land that you tithe for, pledged for, your husband co-signed for, that more than half of it was sold to the Bishop family? Didn't make her feel too good.
No, it wouldn't. This is tragic. You know, once again, I think about the widows in the church who have helped and pushed and built, and, you know, they've lost their husbands, and then they find out, wow, what we built and what we strive for, they have taken, and even just to hear more than half of it has gone directly to the bishops.
Yep.
This is why we cannot repeat these things again. We have all these ministries that's popping up and asking for money, and people just, oh man, we're behind the man of God, we're behind the woman of God, and oh, they're good people. And then you find out years later, it was all about this. It was all about the money. That's devastating. That's all I can say.
I'm not quite done with that phone call, Pastor Ray, because another thing that she related, because you said something earlier about lineage. So us talking about this, that's your fault. I'm off the hook on this one. Her daughter was like that with one of the bishop's sisters. And those two together, like teenagers do, they kind of acted out for several years of their teenage years. And they spent some time in Middletown, and they were kind of running with the wrong crowd, like street level kind of wrong crowd. But I can tell you firsthand, Pastor Ray, in virtually all white and a little bit Hispanic Defiance, Ohio, when I was in the teenage years, there was plenty of wrong crowd. Wrong crowd, not race specific, but some of the wrong crowd that they were hanging out with happened to be African American. And she said what separated them from the church is when the senior went over to their house and slammed his hand on the table and said, "You're hanging out with," and I'm not going to repeat the N word on the program here, but did you say something about the roots and the base and the lineage?
Now, you said that was Lawrence Sr.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I hate dealing with it, because when we talk about it, people think it's a diversion. Oh, don't get into that. Oh, you got to make everything about race. I didn't make everything about race. Lawrence Jr. said some black guy in Georgia or North Carolina. I didn't make it about race. This young lady who spoke with Ohio for Freedom, Brother Everett, the mother said that Lawrence Sr. made it about race. Now, when we respond to it, oh, you're making everything about race. No, they did. They did. And that root was in them. And it's still affecting the son. And here it is, 2025, talking about lineage. This wickedness of racism is still affecting the son. And he is standing in front of a church, and the church is, yeah, the church is listening to this. So the son is affecting a church, and it's still being passed along. It's not okay. It's not okay. Once again, you chuck and jive in front of those large audiences of black people, but Fox News is deep down. Fox Entertainment in front of the crowd, but Fox News is deep down, not saying anything. Let me clarify. I'm talking about as a business model, going from one extreme to another extreme. That's all I'm talking about. Don't get thrown off by that. But the bottom line is this. These people have put this mess in their children, and their children are still speaking this mess over audiences with this root of bitterness and evil inside of their hearts, that some black guy in Georgia or North Carolina somewhere, you don't even have the right to say nothing. You don't have the right to speak to our issues. You don't have the right to say anything about our white churches. You don't get to do it. Stay in your little black lane. And this mess is still being spewed out. But what we have to do is let God make us one in him for real. And that's what I love about Laura Lynn and Ohio for Freedom and Rock Leach and Ray Curry and Vanessa Johnson and John T. and all these different, not by sight. I mean, all of us. What I love is we're all coming together and just saying Jesus, Jesus. And that's what I loved about the event when the podcasters all came together. And I'm going to get off it, but what I loved about it is not that we don't know how to stay in the pocket. It's not that we don't know how to conserve ourselves and speak plainly and calmly. It's not that. At that first event, what I loved about it is we all was able to come together and be us. Everybody who was able to come together and be what God made you. We didn't have to change nothing. We ain't have to pretend nothing. None of my white brothers and sisters had to start doing the hucklebuck and just playing the shout music across the stage. None of them had to do that. And none of us black brothers and sisters had to go around and speak in the King's English and become proper and prim. No, we just was ourselves. We were just some us. We were just some us. And that's what I love about it, because our spirits are genuine. Even when we get to heaven, John said, I saw every tongue, every nation, people from all over the earth. And even in heaven, the Lord allowed John to see those distinctions for God's glory, that we all serve the same mighty Lord.
Yeah. Oh, man, that's so well said, brother. I've got your availability for a certain amount of time. I think we're in good shape. So but here's what I do. In light of that conversation, in light of what we've covered here, I actually want to replay the Darlene Bishop at the convention. It's 54 seconds. And I'd like everybody, you already saw Juanita Bynum do the whatever that's called. I'm going to ask people to watch for that. And brother, at the very end, you will hear her say, Juanita. See, that was something I think T.D. Jakes put that on there, but let's make no mistake. That put a lot of money in people's pockets. I believe at one time T.D. Jakes wrote Darlene a check for $1 million. But when she goes and talks about the car, just pick up, there's like, she gave a young man a car, but there's one extra detail that she just felt like she had to put in. So we're going to analyze this one more time. Here we go. Well, let me do a painful how for freedom. Start it over.
Give your dance a victory. You don't have to see it. Just believe it. And you'll have what you say.
There you go.
See, here's the reason some of you are going to stay in poverty the rest of your life. See, God said that he loved cheerful. That's the reason I told some of you to get your offering ready, because we ain't going to wait on nobody. Because I don't want, if you're giving grudgingly or thinking because somebody's seen you, keep your offering. We don't want it. Because there's something, wait just a minute, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me show you something. The Lord spoke to me because there was a young black man in my church that didn't have a car. He lost his job because his job furnished his car. He lost his car. He'd been helping me with prayer meeting. And I was praying one time at the prayer meeting, and he come in late, and he said, Sister Darlene, I had to borrow a car. I'm sorry I'm late. The Lord said, give him your car. The only thing that I said, Juanita, I just said this. I said, now God.
See why I wanted to go back over that?
Mm-hmm. Now, at the end, she said she gave the young man her car. Now, from my understanding, later on, she got a brand new car herself. That's now the sleight of hand. You got to be careful when these preachers get up talking about how much they gave. in who they helped and what they did, because they know that's going to prompt you to sow back into them at a certain level so that they can get way more than whatever they gave away. Some stuff they was ready to give away anyway. Some stuff they was looking to get a tax write-off or whatever the case may be. She already had the money to get more. My thing is, why was that young man in your prayer meetings serving and doing what he was supposed to do beside you, and you watched that man knowing he did not have his own personal vehicle, but yet you watched him struggle and didn't even decide to help him until he was jobless and carless? That it shows you right there the heart of these leaders, to see what people are going through and don't really even care about really what they're going through. But what we know how to do is pander. It's a pander. Out of all the things to talk about, out of all the things to deal with, and you want to appeal to Juanita. You want to appeal to Juanita because Juanita just gave you the blueprint for the whatever it was, the hucklebuck I call it. She gave you the blueprint for it, and you up here doing the hucklebuck, and you're pandering to a certain group of people, and you know who you talking to. So out of all the ministry you're doing, out of all the ministry that you say that you poured into, or whatever the case may be, I want to give you the story about this African American. This African American I helped, y'all, because that poor black didn't have no car.
That's what I wanted to point out. She couldn't just say there was a young man that didn't have a car. No. What is that when she has to say there was a young black man? Is that virtue signaling? Is that like, it looks extreme? Why can't he just be a young man?
And you know what else, Everett? I can't be racist. I helped a black person. There's no way I'm racist. So these people, once again, have used a certain narrative to be able to step their foot into a new division of people. And unfortunately, this is a business model that these people knew about that we didn't know about. We didn't know about these business models that went into urban markets. And once they got a footing in the urban market, then they could go do business with the people they really want to do business with. You know, that's why something might start off with check cashing places, and the check cashing places are on every block in the black neighborhood. But then when they get to a certain level, then they want to start their credit union, and that's across town. And the loans and the business that they're going to do with people, that's over there. All right. See, these are business models we didn't know about, but they knew about, because certain markets already became saturated. There were certain demographics that was already taken. So now you have a group of people who feel like, and this is another thing about urban markets. There's something in the urban market that says, if I'm associated with this person over here outside of this market, I'm better. So it's a mentality in that urban market too that looks back and say, oh, I'm better because I go to Darlene Bishop Church. I'm better because I go to Rob Parsley Church. I'm better because I go to Kenneth. What's that man? Crazy. COVID-19. What's his name?
Yeah, Copeland.
Copeland, right? Yeah. They feel better because they go to these people churches, not realizing that you are helping them to tap into a market to master until they get to where they really want to go. And once they're there, they really forget about that market. They're not interested in what them people need. They're not interested in their hurt, their pain, their plight. They're not interested. I've already made the money I can make there.
Brother, we're about near the end of time. I got to get at least a quick on-camera reaction to what I guess you might call the clip. Because really, I feel like this kind of sums it up, because I really sincerely do not feel, well, let me ask you this question. So if white Pentecost sometimes panders to the black church, are the people that are being pandered to and marketed to, they're kind of being used, ain't they?
Yeah, they're being used. And it's just something in a community. The black community, I'm just being honest about it, even in Atlanta, there were businesses that would come to Atlanta and get to a certain amount of resource and go back up because they understood that there is a mentality of consumerism. There's a mentality of consumerism. And that's why you see a lot of people in the African-American community who loves brands. They love labels. Everything got to be a label on them. Like this shirt, you would think it's Polo, but good gracious, man. Walmart has some nice shirts. Walmart, I have this little Walmart shirt I got on. But our community, they like labels. They like certain amount of, I go over here. I'm a part of this ministry. And they're not realizing, yeah, you're being used. You're being used.
Well, listen, I'll get a quick reaction out of this because maybe this is a perfect way to sum it up, because I honestly, Pastor Ray, I think this at the end of the day is how they feel about anybody, regardless of where they come from. But let me just play this and then we'll let you get out of here. I appreciate it, brother.
Not believe what I just felt in my spirit towards you. You are in trouble, girl. You are Sister Darlene, I am not trying to be you are in trouble with the Lord. It's quiet yourself, I say unto thee, quiet yourself, or I will quiet you, saith the Lord. That's the word.
There's more, but Pastor Ray, I just had to get your reaction.
I was infuriated. I mean, I was so mad when I heard this, because it reminded me of the same mentality I grew up under when it comes to the manipulation and control. Darlene, it was another clip that you played where she pretended that, I got so busy. I forgot to call. I forgot to say something. And, what did you need? What did you need, Candy? Acting like, it wasn't a thought on my mind. This is a person coming to you with their heart to bear out their soul, to pour out themselves before you, and you acting like, it wasn't even on my mind. And then you go forward in the conversation. You go forward and you get to a point where you can't say anything rational. You don't really want to deal with it. You don't really want to talk about it. You just want to cover for your punctified son. That's all you're here to do. Just let it go and move on. Just let it go and move on. And you're not saying anything that makes any sense. You won't tell your son to sit down with this lady and have a conversation with this lady. You won't do right. So now, because nothing you're saying is making sense, what we got to do now is go into hallucination. So in the hot toe, shika, and all this kind of stupid, crazy stuff. Now you got to go into hallucinating and making up words and voices and stuff. And you're in trouble with God. How dare you? How dare you stand in between someone and their salvation? How dare you set up a blockage between somebody and their Lord because somebody disagree with you based on a lie your son told? Based on a lie your son told, and you're going to sit there and try to hallucinate a prophecy against her and tell her she's in trouble with God, and if she don't silence herself, because once again, you have no leg to stand on, you have no truth in you, you have no godliness in you. So now what we got to do is go into Holy Spirit speaking. This is a cult tactic we got to know. This is a cult tactic we have got to know as the church. When people go into, God is speaking now. And now that shuts down all conversation. It shuts down all critical thinking. It shuts down all reasoning, because now we're telling you that your Lord is talking. Now we don't have to have a conversation about it. Everybody in the church shakes now. And I grew up with that same mentality, and it made me mad because I said to myself, wow, I sat here and had to live through this. And the whole time these jokers was playing with us. These jokers were playing with our souls and knowing good and well they were not hearing from God. They were just at a place where I don't have no way of defending, and this person won't shut up. So now I'm going to pretend to be God. I'm going to pretend to be God. That's wild. That's wild. There's a certain level of wicked and narcissist. There's a certain level of sociopathic that you have to be to get to a place where someone is coming to you with their soul saying, I love you. I don't want anything bad to happen to you. I'm not here to talk against you and to beat you down. I'm here to reason with you, let you know what I did say, let you know what I didn't say. If we disagree about everything, we disagree about everything. But I'm here to pour out my soul to you, and you're so wicked that you get to a point where you say, I'm going to pretend to be God, and you just shut up. That hurt me. That hurt me. And I need everyone everywhere at any church that's going through this to stand up and say, Lord, you know my heart. There's one Lord, there's one faith, there's one baptism, there's one mediator between God and men, the man Christ Jesus. Lord, you know my heart, and I'm not going to let anybody be between you and me. And I need the church to stand on that. Don't let these people do that to you no more.
Pastor Ray, I really appreciate it. And everybody needs to follow Pastor Ray at The Unction on YouTube. I'm going to put a link, obviously, in the description. And just, if somebody's still caught in the crosshairs, Pastor Ray, and they're like, I just want to ask this question. If somebody feels they're in a similar situation to Candy and Donnie, is something bad going to happen if they say, you know what, there's probably somewhere else we can go, but we don't have to go here? Is it going to be okay if they make their own decision about what they do?
I want you to know, I'm a brother to testify to you. You will be okay. You and the Lord are stronger than you and an army of anybody. You and the Lord are stronger than you and an army of anybody. What I'm trying to tell you is, this is not for a spirit of rebellion. This is not for division. The scripture clearly says, do not forsake the assembling of yourselves together after the manner of some is. We're not talking about going off in the island and doing your own thing, and I ain't got to listen to nobody. But if you are in a place where somebody is telling you, you better not leave, you better not go, God gonna get you, the Lord is gonna be mad at you, let me tell you something. You're going to be just fine. Now, what happens is, I'm going to tell you from experience, when you're leaving a cult, first of all, it's spiritual warfare. Just leaving a cult is spiritual warfare. And there's a target on your back from the enemy that says, I need to discourage you. I need to weigh you down. I need to bring you doubt and fear. Okay? Because the Bible says that Satan opens not his prisons. He don't like to open his prisons. All right. So here's the thing. When you try to get free from those spirits, not that you're not free in Christ. We understand salvation. But what I'm talking about is that mentality and that bondage of mind. When you try to get free from that stuff, the bottom line is the enemy not just go say, okay, I understand. They're wanting freedom in life. No, you'll see things, and I'm just being honest with you. If it's not happening more, what the enemy would try to get you to do is focus on it more. It might not be more trials are happening, or more tests are happening, or more issues are coming up. What the enemy will do is say, you broke a nail today. Must be because you left the church. Oh, you got a flat tire today. Must be because you left the church. Oh, your child got sick. Must be because you left the church. No, this is called you live on earth and things happen in life. And so you have to realize God is not against me. I'm not being punished. What's happening is I'm going to have to learn to lean and depend on Jesus for my life, because for rather 5, 10, 15, 20 years, you've been leaning and depending on your pastor's relationship to Jesus. You've trusted in your leader's relationship with the Lord. And because you were at the church, you're in the ark of safety. How is it you're in the ark of safety because you're in the church, but you're not in the ark of safety when you're in Jesus? When you're in Jesus, you're not in the ark of safety. And that's why you're living in idolatry, because you have not come to realize that I'm in the safest place in the universe, in the hands of Jesus Christ. And God needs you to get away from your spiritual overlords for you to realize that he is the Lord of your life, and you will be okay. You'll go through that season where you're focusing on those things that might not go right. You'll live through that season, and you'll come out on the other side and say, it was the Lord who carried me through when I thought I was going to lose my mind, when I thought I was going to break down, when I thought I didn't have no friends, when I thought I didn't have no family. It was the Lord who brought me to green pastures and led me beside still waters. You'll realize that if it had not been for the Lord who was on your side, may now Israel say, where would I be?
Pastor Ray, please give your lovely wife our thanks for
Yes,
giving up yet another hour of your valuable time. You've helped some people, my brother, a lot of people.
Thank you, Jesus.
I appreciate it. I gotta say so long if I ever want to be able to ask you back. So we'll be talking soon. And everybody go see Pastor Ray at the Unction. And brother, until next time, man, I cannot thank you enough. I cannot thank you enough.
Thank you. Keep up the good work. I really appreciate you, bro.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, brother. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, I don't think any better said. And I just want to add my really meager 2 cents that if I from firsthand can tell you, having had a first pastor that was doing everything they could to convince me that I wouldn't be able to make a decision. How are you going to do? How are you going to that? And when I just simply said, the Lord and I are going to be just fine. And you know what? It was just fine. And little ways down the road, when you realize, you know what? Life is good. It's all good. It's just so powerful. We're going to close the program. If you would like to support the program, it's appreciated. It takes support to do this kind of work. We put a lot of time into doing a lot of research and so forth. And actually, I don't think anybody around here is very, very lazy. But if you'd like to support us, ohioforfreedom@gmail.com, PayPal, ohioforfreedom@gmail.com, Zelle. And until next time, and we will, there's going to be quite a few next times. God bless you. God bless your family. God bless the state of Ohio, the United States of America. And we more and more are just thrilled to hear from our friends in different parts of the world. Good night, y'all.
I hear the sweet sound of freedom, and I won't be long.